So YouTube, Kobe here for another video. And in today's video, I'm going to go over a home lab that I am currently working on. And this lab is to serve a purpose to help me train myself and others with the content that we've made out of this. And I'll be going over the features and applications that I'll be implementing into this lab. And this one entail, Ansible, Terraform, those two are forms of infrastructure as code, and that is something that I want to be able to, one of the skills I want to be able to pick up and learn. And hopefully I can, while I'm learning this, I can teach you guys as well. Um, and we can just go over the hardware, what I have with this that I'm building upon, the operating systems that I'll be using, and ways that I can currently build a full enterprise like network and infrastructure that will help me learn, for what I do day to day and for hobbies. And hopefully this can be a useful video or useful series for others that want to be able to create their own home lab. And if you don't have the same hardware that you have, you can do this with so many different things. You can use this with, think centers. If you want to have a cluster of think centers, I have a small enterprise server that I'll be using with this, but this can be used with any type of hardware. And to start off with the hardware, I'm using a PowerEdge R730 with 20 CPUs, 128 gigabytes of RAM, of DDR4 RAM, and about 7.2 terabytes of storage. And on top of this, I deployed ESXi 8.0 U2, and this will be the main host. This will be the host I'll be using. And from here, I will be deploying vCSA, which will pretty much hold all the VMs and better configurations, things that you would see in a production-like environment. And here we have our current view of vCSA, and this is where we are able to see pretty much the details of the host, the VMs. We're able to create resource pools eventually, and with vSphere as well, they have PowerCLI, so we can work directly with vSphere and be able to do like pretty powerful things with this. And so this is what we'll be using for this home lab. And here we have the current view of our IP plan. I have duplicate rows right here. But our router will be 10.10.0.1, typical. Our iDRAC, so we are able to manage the actual server. This will be 10.05. We have the EXI, vCSA, our DNS, our domain controller, and then we have a reserve range for future infrastructure as we build this whole home lab. Have IPs for the VMs, Linux servers, containers, and pretty much all the different things that we'll be working with. And just have these reserved pools for eventual use. And I want to show you the DNS that we have set up right now. And so right now we're using By9, typical for server DNS. And as you can see, we have our By9 domain name server running, and this is going to be serving our DNS. And the FQDN that we'll be using will be bellab.local. And one of the new things that I want to be working on this lab right now is something called infrastructure as code, where we're able to deploy servers, VMs, or any kind of use case or service for this lab with identical configurations, and be able to easily manipulate it and deploy it in pretty much a couple lines of code or commands. And for example, if we wanted to deploy a VM, I'm going to show you the process, what it takes to manually create a VM. So you'll have to click create virtual machine, name it. I'm just going to leave this name right here. Select the compute resource. Select the storage where you want to store the VM. Click next. The name, the type. Go here. You got to find the actual VM. Choose the data store where the ISO resides in. All of them reside here. Click it. Windows. Boom, and you gotta click OK, next, and so on and so on. And then after that, you gotta configure it with the username and all these different services that you want to install on it. And this can take a very long time, and sometimes it's prone to human error. And so you can use infrastructure as code to be able to deploy VMs with identical configurations, different type of users you want to have, and it will make your life so much easier. And so this is something I want to learn myself, and create content for this as well as I'm learning. I can potentially help somebody else with this. So what is infrastructure as code? Well, it is a way of managing and provisioning computing infrastructure through machine-readable definition files rather than physical hardware configurations or interactive configuration tools. And it rather defines the end state on how to get there and what needs to be done for it to be completed. And so the traditional way is to manually click through the UI wizards. This is very time consuming for deployments, and it doesn't seem feasible if you have a large data center. And this is prone to human error. And so somebody might click, the wrong IP address, for a VM or a server or whatever it is, and it might be different from the next guy. And with infrastructure as code, the code defines the infrastructure. And there's automated provisioning, there's version control, and it's repeatable and testable. And this is used in many different things. This is for cloud infrastructure, enterprise data centers, container platforms, network configurations, and much more that you can use. And you will find this used in many professional settings. And for our infrastructure as code stack, we'll be using Terraform. This will be setting up and creating the resources that will be needed to create the VMs, network, and storage. Ansible, this will be the installing and configuring the software services that we'll be using. PowerCLI, this will be the PowerShell commandlets that will be integrated with vSphere, and this will help with the automations. And Git for version control, so we will be able to roll back, use CI/CD pipelines, and branching for different things if we're working on a feature or anything like that. And the benefits we will be able to achieve by the end of this series is you'll be able to deploy VMs and clusters instantly with one command. You will have identical server configuration that we will be using Ansible for. Complete change tracking, so we know who changed what, when they changed it, and why they changed it. And this really doesn't matter because this is one person, but this is skills that you can learn for your own home lab, or if you're able to apply these to your day-to-day job. And you could test before you deploy with Terraform, and we can effortlessly scale from one VM to 100 VMs, 1,000 VMs easily. And for the series roadmap, for the next episode, we'll be creating perfect VM templates, and we'll be using Ubuntu for this. For the episode 3, we'll be using deploying the first time with Terraform, and we'll be able to write a script that will deploy multiple VMs with the proper networking. And for the 4th episode, we'll be using Ansible to be installing the software and services that we need. And by the end of the series, I want you to be able to learn enterprise-ready skills that you'll be able to use in a production-like environment. And this will be directly incorporated with DevOps and cloud engineering roles. And if you guys are ready, let's get this rolling. And please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes. And if you have any questions, just drop them in the comment. I'm quick to respond. And let's just get our hands dirty. And for the next episode, again, we'll be building the perfect VM templates, and this will be our foundation of creating this automated stack. So, like, subscribe, hit a comment, and all is appreciated. Thank you. Until the next one.